topic that will be help anybody else to understand the very principle of trade. Everybody in this world, some way, somehow, execute some kind of trade in life. Trade is something that technology and business is something, a word that being used very often. Um, and when we get to see what is behind that word, it might just we might just look at it in one single way. How to trade, and trade is something that always has been done from the beginning of our existence. And we can call it exchange. We can call it trade in goods, trade in business, trade in services, and we can even implement it a little further. Um, Trade is something that we can even apply it in a relationship. Um, Businesses, jobs. What is it that you trading nowadays in your life? Is one very important trade that we always execute and we don't realize how important it is. You're trading your time. The most expensive trade that we're going to be able to do in life is called time. Sometimes we don't put our mind to realize that trading time is one of the most expensive trading that we're going to be doing in our life, because it's not something that you can gain back. And we do it unconsciously. We just make it to happen. We trade 8 hours a day of work, providing services, accomplish a job, and we get monetary in return. We get some type of currency in return, but when you put your mind to realize, that's one of the biggest trades that anybody will be doing without even realizing that that's not something that you can gain back. That's just, time is something that when it's gone, it's gone. You can't regain that. And this is something that we need to be more conscientious and that kind of trade that we do, because if we do it and we don't, to the point that you, it's kind of interesting, because when you put your mind to realize you're trading your life for a certain amount of money, and when you come to realize it's money that you don't even manage properly, so it's like you don't pay attention the amount of importance that little money that we get in return for our time that we trade. We don't look in the way that, how can I use this trading that I'm doing for my time, the most precious thing that I will have in my life, which is time. How can I take advantage of this? How can I make it more profitable in a way that it will be worth it the amount of time that I trade of my life for a certain amount of money. Even in those things, we don't have the awareness to think, if I'm trading 40 hours a week, 40 hours a week, of my time, 40 hours I trade. Sometimes people work overtime. How can I at least have the assurance that when it comes time for us to retire, we are able to gain something out of all that trade that we do in our time? Because a year, when you add yearly 40 hours a week, yearly is 2008 hours that we trade, 2008 hours per year. So when you multiply that times 40 years, so you do your math, how many hours of your life we are spending trading for amount of money. And how many people at the end of the journey have a comfortable retirement? They can say, it was worth it, because now I'm able to enjoy life the last years of my life. So it's very important that we do a little bit of meditation on early beginning, because I think that's one of the things that we get caught up so much in the busyness of life, and we don't pay attention. What do we do with our life before we know our life is gone? A very short amount of time, like I always highlighted. We need to make more conscious, if I'm trading my time, what am I gaining out of it? How much it benefits anyone's life to trade years of life. This is why we need to develop more awareness in every sense. And the most important thing is, when we sit and think, if we need to pay attention for this short amount of time that we have on the natural, don't we think that we should put more attention into the spiritual? This is when you start to make sense in life, because we focus too much on the natural and we always disregard the spiritual. The biggest exchange that occurred in our history is God Himself sending His Son to pay the ransom that you and I were supposed to pay. So to me, that's the biggest exchange that ever will be in life. Because from that exchange, it came out eternity for you and for me, salvation, grace. And if we should pay attention on the natural, when we trade our time and effort, how much more don't we think that we should be emphasizing more the spiritual, which involves eternity? It's very important that our mind gets caught up too much in the busyness of life, the hectic of life that we live in, and we don't pay attention to the importance that it requires to pay attention to. It's very important that everybody take some time and meditate, And this life is the only thing that we're going to experience this very short time, or is something more? Because when we put our mind to think, we discover there's a lot more than what being has been saying to us. The spiritual life is the reality of the meaning of life. The meaning of life. It's said that in our mind, this is the only thing that have been explained to us. Oh, life is only one. You got to leave the most that you can out of it. It's something that it's interesting that only the people that have experienced near death are the people that have been able to have a glimpse of the next round after this physical, natural round. When they come back to the natural, they complain. They say, "Why you brought me back? Why you didn't leave me where it was?" It was more peace, more, it was like the fullness of reality. Come back to the chaos. And nobody likes that. Majority of people experience that and this is the reason why the people that we become to understand the true spiritual life, we no longer have any type of fear of death. Because we know it's just in a stage that we need to go forward in order to go to the next stage. It's like a procedure, it needs to happen. But unfortunately, we don't pay attention to these things, It's sad that everybody just trying to live one life, like this life, and this is sad. This is what been told, what everybody been saying. But when you understand the real meaning of life, true life, you not only see it in the 3D that we have, the physical, natural. And this is why when you understand the exchange, the trade that Jesus Christ came to do and exchange places and took death upon himself in order for us not to face that. Not the physical death, the second death, the spiritual death. I wish we can go deeper in this topic. One day I'm gonna see how we can contribute to extend this principle, this topic about a spiritual death and a spiritual life. Because majority of us, we are alive in the natural and the physical life, and the natural life. But we've been disconnected from the spiritual life. And that was the main reason why Jesus exchanged his life for ours. Him facing that physical and spiritual death in order for us not to experience that. But we don't pay too much attention to that. We don't analyze and we don't understand the importance that involved in it. I think that when we meditate and think about it, grace become one of the biggest gifts that anybody will obtain in the entire existence. Grace is the undeserved gift that's been given to us through the Son Jesus Christ in order to become righteous. So I encourage everybody that understand, same way that you put your mind to understand trade and the natural. Nowadays one of the biggest thing is the currency of trade online. You trade money, buy and sell stocks. In this type of trade that everybody's very into it, learning how to do that. But we neglect the biggest trade, the biggest exchange that we need to be taken seriously and looking into, because when you look at the 10 commandments that God wrote for humanity, that everybody rejected because they think it's based on rules and restrictions and this, that, and the other. When you really get into it and you understand the first two, that's why Jesus mentioned it, the first two. Love God with all your mind, heart, and soul. And the second one is similar. Love your brother as you love yourself. Automatically will encapsulate all the other 8, which is all the 10. When you love God, truly we love God, is because we become to understand God is love, and because of his love, I'm able to experience love myself. Sometimes we think that we are the authors of love, or I love you, or I love this, I love that. No. All given good have been come from above, have been given by God. When we understand this principle, we become to understand that our opportunity to experience love is because God is love. Without the existence of God, nobody will be able to experience love. Guarantee it. Nobody will be able to experience love. We get the privilege to experience love because God is love. And by him being and us being created in his image and his likeness, all we got to do is open that door to accept that love. And that's when we truly can bring it in, to bring it out to the brothers, to love your brother as you love yourself. When you love God, you become to love yourself. It's very important to understand this. The biggest confusion that humans we do is trying to love someone else when we haven't even begin to love ourselves. When you understand the real concept of love, God is love. I acknowledge God's love. I get to experience love. So I open myself to receive God's love. And by receiving God's love, now I have something to give. I have something to provide to someone else. This is why God is infinite. I'm gonna show you a picture of, the picture of the infinite of God to us to comprehend. Look at this picture. This is what infinite is. You see that picture? That picture doesn't have an end. That's God's love. That's God's existence, eternity. It doesn't have a beginning, it doesn't have an end. You're not able to spot where is the beginning there and where is the end, because it's continually going. It doesn't stop. So when you look at that picture, keep it in your mind, because we need to understand that is infinity. That's what God is. Infinity. The foundation of self-love, to love others effectively, one must first accept and respect themselves, as it is difficult to give to others what one does not possess internally. Do you see why it's so important to understand all these terms? Because we manifest and we profess things to others that we don't even have ourselves. We haven't learned how to respect ourselves, how to love ourselves. And we pretend until we are able to give that to someone else. You can give something that you don't have. Pay attention to that. It's very important. Most of us pretended to give something that we don't have. This is the reason when you become to understand why the commandments are so important to implement it in our life. I need to love God with all my heart, with all my soul, with all my spirit, because that will give me something that He is. So I'm going to obtain from the fountain to bring back something that I used to have. We used to have, but no longer we have. So now Jesus came to make that possible again. So when we obtain God's love through His Son Jesus Christ, now we have something that we can offer. Now we can say, I can love my brother truthfully, because I love myself, I respect myself, I know my value, I know who I am. I'm an extension of the love of God. So if I am an extension of love of God, that's what's going to go out from me. So many people talk about energy. Oh, we are energy. We project energy. What kind of energy you project? Yeah, I accept. I believe that we radiate energy. We all radiate energy. But what type of energy we radiate into others? Is a positive energy or negative energy? Because most guarantee you, it will. If you don't have that love of God in you, You have nothing positive to radiate. Everything is going to be negative. Think about it. It's just logic. When you understand the logic of this, it just makes sense. You stop fooling yourself. You stop acting, pretending, offering somebody something that you don't have. That's why human love is so limited. So limited because we are lacking of a lot of love that we don't understand. When we understand God's love, that's when you uncover reality of love. You say, okay, now I know what love is. It's very important to understand this because I believe that the sacrificial of the Son of God, it can't be in vain. It have to have some reason. But we never put our mind to understand this very important piece of our life, because whether you like it or not, that is a big part of your life. Understanding God's love through His Son, Jesus Christ. To understand that exchange that took place, that trade, we can use the word modern trade, call it exchange. Jesus came to give His life for us, because that was ours supposed to pay that price. But He did the trade Himself and come to pay something that concerned me and you. Now we can walk freely in accepting that sacrifice that exempt you from any punishment. It's a wonderful thing when we understand this. It's amazing. That's when you say, nobody will love me like God has loved me. That's what real love is, you know. Someone that give it all. I mean, when I tell you God gave it all for you and me, that's exactly what God did. He left His throne and took a form of servant and humiliate to the most deepest level for you and I to have freedom. For you and I to have a redemption. To be redeemed, to be saved, to give us salvation. And the Spirit said that nobody value a massive amount of exchange that He did for you and me. I encourage everybody to understand that without God's love, you're just trying to profess something that you don't have. You don't have it. That's the reason the collapse of human relationships in every way. Friendship, marriage, family, friends. That's why is the lack of true love in between. Because we don't have it. We don't understand. We don't know. When you become to understand truly, you say, now it makes sense to me. Now I'm going to implement this in my life in a different way. Now I can truly love somebody because I learned how to love myself first. I know how to respect myself. I know how to value myself. I know who I am. Now I can love somebody. Because now, get what I'm going to say right now. This is very important. This is very important. Understand what I'm going to say right now. Now I can love somebody because I am complete. I'm not gonna love somebody to make me full, to make me happy. You get what I'm saying? Now I'm giving from my fullness. So I'm not expecting to be full, to be complete, because I'm already complete. So now I'm going to give for someone else to become complete. Do you get what I'm saying? That's why when you go into a relationship, you need to go with the mindset of I am a complement to someone else. But when you're going in with expecting to that person give you in order for you to be fulfilled or be complete, you're going in the wrong direction. And that's the beautiful thing when you know God's love truly. You become full, you become complete, everything is in you. Peace, joy, happiness, whatever people want to call it. Completeness is in you. So now you have something to give. Before nobody does. So it's very important to put our heart to think in this, our mind to think in this. Why the lack of fulfilledness in my heart? Why I feel like I'm empty? Why I feel there's a void in my heart? Why I feel like I'm not complete? I'm still like something is missing. That's exactly why. Because the joy and the love of God is not being fully understood by you, by anybody. So until that love of God become fully understood at the scale that needs to be understood, that's when you say, I am a child of God. I am a child of God. Because he paid the ransom for me to become his child again. So now I am to my fullness. Now I can love my brothers. Now I can love others. Do you get what I'm saying? Without that acknowledgement, we can't process that. We can't fathom that. We can't understand this very important principle. So I hope that if you are a person that are involved in transactions and trades and exchanges, put your mind to this, because the exchange of the Son of God, he took our place, is everything for your life. When you become to understand that, you say, wow, who else would have done that for me? Who else has shown me that kind of love? Nobody. Nobody has shown me. Nobody will show you that. I guarantee you that. Nobody will show you that kind of love. So when we understand that, you say, wow, I don't need to seek for more. I get it. I receive it. All you got to do is receive it, man. That's why grace means undeserved gift. Because you don't deserve it. We don't deserve it. But it's been given to us. All we got to do is accept it. And this fullness of joy will take over. And you will have peace. And you will be able to give to someone else. Put this in practice. Put it to thinking in this, and leave a comment in the episode when you see it. If you want to leave a comment, anything that you want to help to make this point uh, for others to comprehend better. That's when my life became complete, when I understood that to the fullness. That's when I stopped seeking for stuff. Yeah, I go with my daily routines, like, exchanging my time for work and, in order to succeed. But I stopped the anxiety, the anxious that everybody feel for this, for that, and the other. You live in gratitude. You live grateful. That's living to the fullness. When you obtain gratitude and you are grateful for whatever you have, whatever you live, whatever people around you, whatever opportunity God gave you to experience in life, you are grateful. Sometimes a good experience, sometimes a not too good experience, but you're still grateful. Because you have a peace and love in your heart. So you don't lose anything. Other people treat you bad. Other people, that's their problem. That's not you. That's them. They're gonna face that later on. Because one important thing that I want people to understand that God put in my heart the other day is, and I encourage everybody, you will harvest what you plant. Please understand, this is very important. This is the reason why walking in God's love is the best that can happen to anybody. Because you're not going to do with the mindset to harm people, to take advantage of people, to envy people, to hate people. You're not walking in that mode. Because you understand that whatever you give, that's what you're going to receive back. And sometimes double. That's the part that people don't understand. And that's why the metaphors in the Bible, if you plant a good seed, you will harvest a good harvest out of that seed, because it was a good seed. So my encouragement to you is always do good, because whatever bad intention that you put to somebody else, it will come back to you. That's why our life sometimes it doesn't get out of the pit, because all we've been put in is a bad works. So whatever you give, that's what you're going to receive. It's no other way. No other way. So I encourage people that before you do something towards anybody, think twice. Think twice, because you just bring something not too good for your future, because that's gonna hurt you. When we try to hurt somebody else, you're hurting yourself. It will happen sooner or later, and like I said, it will happen double what you do wrong. So don't do wrong, always do right. That's why we need to know the love of God, because that's the only way we can operate in that mindset, in that mode. You do something with goodness, and that changed the whole thing. It's a beautiful thing. I hope that this message, put you to think. Understand God's love, because the exchange that Jesus did for your life, the trade that Jesus came to do for you and me, nothing can buy that. That's priceless. So take advantage. Accept it. Put it in your heart. Share it to others. It's a wonderful thing. You will get joy. True joy. I guarantee you that. So until next, share this content if you find it is something that can be useful to someone else, subscribe to the channel. Help us to extend these topics to someone else that benefit out of it. My Lord bless you, and until next Why Journey. God bless you.